Morning. It's Thursday, April 14th. We've all heard the news about the subway shooting, where this masked gunman came in there with gas canisters and released the canisters. And with the fumes of the gas filling the subway car, he proceeded to shoot 10 people. And he fired 33 shots. And in any event, there were more people injured because they were running away and they fell down. They got hurt there. So a lot of people ended up in the hospital. Terrible story. And it happens too often in this country. We in the United States have not figured out how to address this awful situation. But what I want to talk about this morning is a byproduct of this shoot. A couple of corporations that took advantage of the situation. And that's a terrible thing. But when you think about the way businesses are run, every opportunity to make an extra buck is taken advantage of by the so-called smart business people. Let's look at what happened with the price of oil and gas. It went up because the gas and oil companies did not want to increase production, because they recognized the fact that their investment in increasing production would probably disappear once everything settled down and the prices started going back down, and then they would have invested all of this money for nothing. Well, we have a similar situation with the subway shooting, because many people now have decided that it's safer to take an Uber or a Lyft. And Uber and Lyft have responded to that in a way that is unconscionable. Now, I have never ridden in an Uber or a Lyft car or taken one of their rides or anything like that. My kids have. My son and my daughter use them, but I have never used them. But this is the situation. Because of the subway shoot and because of the pandemic, Uber and Lyft have been used a lot more than I think that they would have been used. And they have provided great service to many people who want to get around. But now, in the midst of this crime, and people are now staying off the subway, not because of the pandemic, but because of the dangers in crime, Uber and Lyft have seen fit to raise their prices. Imagine that. You're a businessman and you have a situation to make an extra buck or two, or probably millions or multi-millions, and you take advantage of the situation. After you had a windfall caused by the pandemic, of course, and now you get another windfall in New York City with this mass shooting, and now people are afraid to ride the subways. And you take advantage of that. And there is now a huge ruckus going on because of this. Because New Yorkers are not happy. The rideshare services have raised their prices. The prices surged since the shooting on Tuesday. People are saying they don't see anything about the shooting surge pricing in their terms of use. They have a set of rules, and they explain their pricing methodology to the people. But there's nothing about surge pricing related to shootings. They are now being accused of making a profit off of people's sufferings. And both services, of course, deny that. They said they're not doing that. We have to do this because we're getting swamped. People are rushing to ride with us. Now, I don't know how they price their rides, but there's something called prime time pricing, and then there's off prime time pricing. And Lyft has said, we've currently suspended prime time pricing for riders in the area, and we're working to adjust fares for certain riders who paid prime time pricing when the situation first unfolded. And Uber said they have capped prime time pricing, all pricing citywide. But continued on to say that if anybody experienced unintended charges. Unintended charges, get that, in the area during the emergency. We will work hard to refund them. That's what Uber said in a tweet. So those were the statements that were issued by Lyft and Uber. And there's a third company out there called Comfort. But all three of them had increased pricing. And the pricing was generated not by the driver, but by the app. So even though Uber and Lyft are denying the fact that the prices went up, the app didn't care. The app was charging high prices. $68 for a 5-minute ride. $68 for a 5-minute ride. Now, how far can you go in the city in 5 minutes? Sometimes it takes you 5 minutes to go 1 block in the city. And then it was a ride that was charged $86 for a similar ride, and Comfort charged $74 for another ride. Apparently, according to the notices that went out, these prices were 2 times the number of points. And I don't understand the whole system, but I'm going to check on it. So I checked. And basically what happens is the Uber app calculates the fare. And they do that by an internal computer system that checks the route that the driver has to take, or alternate routes. It checks on the traffic patterns that are going on at that particular time. And it generates points. And there's 3 sections of this calculation that goes into effect. There's the driver's fee. He gets paid by the estimated time or the actual time that the trip took. And then there's the service fee that Uber collects. And then there's a fee, a contingency fee, and they're all based upon a calculation which they call the point system. Because you're going from point A to point B, and you may have to go through several different points. And it depends on the time of day and the volume of traffic that it calculates. So it's a pretty sophisticated system, but it always makes sure that the driver gets paid fairly. And the only one that could really lose on this deal, according to Uber, is them on their service fee. Limited way to calculate the service fee, and it can't be too large because then they'll lose customers, obviously. They say they want to treat the drivers fairly, and I'm not sure the drivers would agree with that at all points in time. But the whole thing is another use of computer. And they have city maps, they have all kinds of things that calculate. It's like a GPS system. If you understand how a GPS system works, then you can understand how Uber prices their rides. They take advantage of GPS. It's a pretty smart thing to do. And the customer always knows up front what the fee is going to be. Now, of course, there might be a variation or two that they have to account for, but I'm not. And keep in mind that good businessmen are always looking for an edge. While that edge might not always be acceptable to most people, that's what it is. So, bye now.